He pulled over just past exit 214 on 95 and said it would only take a minute. "We need gas," Ethan told me, voice bright as a weather report. "Stay here, Dad. I'll swing around." I nodded, the way you nod when your 50-year-old son uses the tone he used at 12. The Atlantic light had that bleached, late June glare. Heat roared up from the asphalt in shimmering bands. I checked my phone. 2%. The number blinked like a low battery of a life. "You want water?" he added. "Grabbed you a bottle earlier." "I'm fine," I lied. My tongue felt like cardboard. He had drained the small Dasani I'd brought to the car, absent-mindedly. "Just a minute," he repeated, as if the highway had a patience setting. Then he merged, flashing his blinker, and the tail of his silver Outback glided away, the dolphin sticker in the corner of his rear window winking at me. The sun did a quick trick behind a cloud. I stood on the shoulder with my hands on my hips like a man evaluating a faulty fence post. The phone gave one last spasm of light and died in my palm. I am 70. I'm not helpless. Those can both be true. I waded through one full song of cicadas. I waded through two. The heat turned time to syrup. A motorcycle stitched the lanes. A box truck rattled. The wind buffeted my shirt. The sound of the highway is indifferent. You do not matter to the road. You are background hum to someone else's errand. When the semi eased onto the shoulder a good 200 feet behind me, safe, careful, deliberate, I stared at the mirrored rectangle of the passenger door and saw myself. A narrow man in a faded blue polo, a face my late wife used to touch with the tips of her thumbs when I thought too hard, a small backpack slung across my chest because carrying a wallet in my back pocket had started to feel risky when my hands shook at checkout. The driver climbed down, a big fellow with a wide-brimmed cap, sweat-stained at the edge and forearms the color of varnished oak. He unscrewed a steel bottle and held it out. "Water," he said. "Name's Ray." I took 2 greedy swallows and then remembered my manners. "Arthur," I told him. "Art, you waiting on the silver Subaru?" he asked, chin tilting back toward the rest area. "My son," I said. The answer felt correct, as it always had. Then he squinted a little and did the kindest thing a stranger can do. He gave me information I did not know I needed. "I saw him throw a phone into the trash by the pumps," Ray said. "Same case you're holding." A pause. The highway pushed at our silence like a tide under a dock. "I've got the dash cam," Ray added, quiet. "It's all there." Something in my chest did a small, neat tear. The kind of tailor sees in a jacket when he turns it inside out. Invisible to everyone, but absolute. The first time Ethan asked me for money, he did it politely. That matters. It was November 2019, the first holiday season since Eleanor died. I still slept on her side of the bed, out of muscle memory. Grief had made my house organized and my calendar vague. I knew where every receipt lived, and I could not remember what day it was. "Dad," Ethan said over the phone, "Vanessa and I found a venue. It's perfect. We need to put down $5,000 by Friday, or we'll lose the date." He didn't say I was the only person he knew who could write a check without asking a bank for permission. He didn't have to. I had the checkbook open before he finished. In March, we did the caterer, $12, $800 deposit, tuna tartare on cucumbers because people remember the appetizers, Dad. The photographer's retainer was $3,500. The band wanted $6,000 up front to block the date. So many zeros. I joked to Eleanor's photograph on the hall table. You'd have vetoed the saxophone. I signed until the check register looked like a long strip of white flags. I told myself it was love work. My pension was $3,600 a month. I had savings because a man who installs HVAC systems for 37 years learns to believe in rainy days. I had exactly 2 indulgences, a 2011 Camry with 82,000 miles and coffee beans I ground fresh, the way the bag told me to. Everything else I called frugal by habit. When Ethan and Vanessa decided to buy, the market screamed and we all screamed back into it. "We found a house in Lakeview," he texted, and attached a video, sunlight on hardwood, a baby blue nursery, Vanessa's voice narrating the laundry room like it was a cathedral. The down payment was $62,000. "We'll pay you back, Dad," Ethan said, snapping his gum. "Interest, too. We'll set it up like a proper loan." We did. I printed a promissory note template. He signed with a Sharpie on my kitchen counter. The signature bled through. I slid it into a plastic sleeve because I wanted to preserve the feeling that this was a grown man doing a grown thing. After that, the help became monthly. $1,200 wired on the first of each month for 28 months because cash flow is tough in Q4, or the porch contractor's a crook, or Jake started swim lessons and the fees are insane. 49 small reasons plus 2 infants equals $33,600 before you could do the math on your napkin. Vanessa texted me heart emojis and photos of the boys in matching pajamas. The gratitude was real in its way. The way you're grateful a sidewalk exists. It doesn't change how you walk. In 2022, the roof leaked. We need a helic, Ethan said. They'll give us a better rate if you co-sign. Just to unlock it, Dad. We won't touch it unless the sky falls. The line was $95,000. The sky is exactly as sturdy as the hands holding it up. The first draw went to Blue Spruce Renovations for $18,700. They do roof and gutters as a package, Dad. It's all efficient. Then another $9,400 for landscaping because water pooled near the foundation. The statements came to my house because the banker had typed my address faster than his. I copied them into my file cabinet with the reverence you give to documents and the fear you give to fire. I tell you all this so that when you imagine me on the shoulder of a 95 with a dead phone, you do not imagine a man without context. I had spent 4 years paying for people to live inside a context where nothing bad could happen. Then the context betrayed me. The last 6 weeks before the shoulder were all just this once. On May 2nd, they needed $25,000 wired to Lakeview Ventures LLC by 3:00 p.m. It's actually us, Dad, Ethan said. We set the LLC up for the basement unit, Airbnb, passive income. The seller wants proof of funds. He sent me the routing number with a thumb-up emoji. The transfer screen on my laptop squinted at me. On June 10th, it was $29,000. Rate locked, Daddy said. If we miss it, we're screwed. He didn't swear in front of me growing up. He does now. The company name looked almost the same. Lakeview Ventures LLC became Lakeview Venture Partners. A trick of light. It's just an internal account, he said. You're fine. May 18th carried another $8,940 to Southwest Vacations. It's for the boys, Vanessa said when I asked, her voice sweet and tired. We haven't taken them anywhere since the pandemic. You don't want your grandsons to only know grocery stores and pediatricians, do you? The photo of 2 toddlers in Mickey hats arrived before I finished breathing. I track my life the way some men track baseball stats. The ledger in the bottom desk drawer recorded the numbers in clean blue columns. At the bottom of the June page, I totaled them. $62,940. I tapped the pencil on the paper and thought of Eleanor scolding curses. On June 21st, Ethan invited me to ride along to drop off a check to the roofer. We'll get lunch, he said. Burgers at that place you like. We did not make it to Burgers. Ray's rig was a Freightliner with a dashboard that looked like a cockpit. The cab held a thermos, a loaf of white bread, a laundry bag, a child's drawing of a truck with Daddy above it in green crayon. My Nora's 6. He waved at the paper like an altar. He plugged my phone into a charging cable that had seen things. The battery graphic blinked orange, then red, then a sliver of hope. We'll ride up to the rest area, he said. Trash cans near pump 4. At the rest area, we walked the way a nurse walks a patient down a hall after a surgery he's not sure he had. 2 crows pecked a drop bag of Doritos. The smell was coffee and gasoline and sunblock. Ray peered into the big gray trash, lifted the lid with 2 fingers like it might bite. He nodded at the second can and reached down into the slick bouquet of wrappers, napkins, an unlucky banana. He pulled my phone case up between his fingers. The case contained absence. Gutted it, Ray said softly. Pulled the SIM out. Probably tossed the phone somewhere else. He tapped his cap brim with 1 knuckle. But he didn't see me see him. He took his phone out, not mine his, and scrolled to the dashcam app. The video showed the pump island, Ethan's shoulders, the easy pivot of his arm, the flash of my green case, the pitch-black mouth of the trash can swallowing it. It showed Ethan watching the can like a magician forcing a card into a deck, and turning away. That's a clean capture, Ray said. Time stamped. A state trooper took our statements with the face of a man who'd learned his compassion does most good when it does not leak at the edges. Do you feel safe reaching out to your son? He asked. A good question. The kind that assumes your answer is the important fact. I said not today and signed my name in the space that looked a little small. Back home, I fished the Helix statements out of the filing cabinet, then the regular bank statements. In the bottom of the drawer, the promissory note with the sharpest signature lay in its plastic sheath like a pinned butterfly. I made tea, the way I do when my hands need something to do besides shake. The doorbell rang around 9:40 p.m. I did not open it. The text showed up in flood when my phone came fully back to life. Ethan, then Vanessa, then Ethan again. Dad, please pick up. Where are you? We need to talk. Vanessa wrote, You're scaring the boys. The part of me that still believed in magic reached for my car keys like 11-year-old me, ran to the ice cream truck. I set the keys back down like 60-year-old me, put the pint of chocolate ice cream back in the freezer at 10:30 p.m. because the doctor said my A1C didn't like midnight. Ray sent me the dashcam file. The trooper sent an incident number. The ledger in the bottom drawer watched me burn from the inside out. By Saturday, I had my binder. If you're old and wish to be taken seriously, put your papers in a binder. Blue, 3 inches tabs, bank Helic, cards, messages incident. Under bank lived the wire transfers. May 2nd, $25,000 to Lakeview Ventures LLC, routing hashtag 0311, ACCT hashtag 497. June 10th, $29,000 to Lakeview Venture Partners, different account by 2 digits. Under cards was a fistful of charges that looked like teenagers invented money. Bluestem electric bikes, $2,480. Kids Planet Gym, $740. Delta, $1,362. PHLMCO. Under Helic, Blue Spruce Renovations, $18,700. Jonathan's Landscape, $9,400. Ally Garage Doors, $4,520. I called the bank's fraud line and spoke to a woman named Pia who had one of those voices you want to hand your wallet to so she can fix your life. Sir, Regulation E covers electronic fund transfers if they're unauthorized, she said, but wires are tricky. I found the corner of the table with my thumbnail until I thought the varnish might peel. Document it all, Pia continued. And the Helic draws. If you didn't authorize usage, we can flag that with underwriting. Thank you, I said. No one says that to you enough, I'm sure. She laughed a little. Sometimes people do, usually older men. You'd be surprised. On Monday, I drove to the Lakeview branch. I did not tell Ethan I was coming. He and Vanessa had, as the young say, blown up my phone. I had powered it off. The banker remembered me because there are not many Arthurs in their 70s who still balance a checkbook by hand. He agreed to look at the wire details with the cautious relief of a man who prefers screens to people. Who authorized in the system? I asked. He hesitated. The wires are set up for you to initiate via online banking, he said. But the beneficiary changes came from a device not previously on file. He clicked. iPhone 14, Lakeview IP. The login came from our Wi-Fi on June 10th. Their house, I said. Lakeview, the street where I paid the down payment. Sometimes geography is the punchline. He printed what he could print without losing his job. I slid the sheets into plastic sleeves. At home, I made a second binder for my neighbor, Bev, the retired schoolteacher who teaches me more about resolve than any book ever did. You have to make 2 of everything and put them in 2 places, Art, she said. If you grew up in the Cold War and remember bomb drills, you do adult mischief like a librarian. That afternoon, Vanessa invited me to Sunday dinner for Jake's 6th birthday. He made you a card, Dad, she said. He wants you there. The version of myself that would do anything for a child their mother can't soften with a look said yes. Sunday smelled like buttercream and lies. Their dining room had the look of an Instagram post I would scroll past. Balloon arch in blue and gold. Paper plates that said roar. With dinosaur teeth. Ethan wore a polo that would have suited a golf course if he had ever held a 9-iron. Vanessa shimmered with the casual prettiness of a woman who believes lighting is a matter of willpower. Dad, Jake launched himself on my knees. I handed him a small wrap box, Lego set, not cheap, not extravagant, squarely in the zone called appropriate. Build me a T-Rex? I asked. After cake, he grinned. After cake turned out to be the moment Vanessa wanted. Before presents, she announced, tapping a spoon against her glass. Ethan has something to say. He cleared his throat like a man about to propose. Dad, he said, Vanessa and I, about what happened on Friday. It was a misunderstanding. We were in a rush. You wandered off. I set the binder on the table and slid the dash cam still across the linen. Vanessa froze. Ethan's jaw worked like a piece of gum had turned to concrete in his mouth. That's my phone case, I said. In your hand. I kept my voice level. It's a weapon when it's level. These are the wires, I continued, flipping tabs with a slow deliberateness I reserve for everything but cake. This is the helic. This is your signature where it doesn't belong. These are the terms you didn't read. Vanessa's aunt made a small bird noise. Someone turned the music down without touching a button. The room did it. Ethan reached across for the binder, and I moved it away with a speed that surprised us both. Don't, I said, and the syllable was a growl Eleanor would have recognized from the look a stray dog gave when men harassed her at the park. You will not touch my things today. Jake's eyes enlarged. Vanessa's shoulders rose into the shrugged armor of performative calm. We can talk privately, she murmured. We will, I said. In a courtroom, the doorbell rang. The car shaped like a cartoon sheriff parked crookedly at the curb and my peripheral vision suggested a delivery. Official. Vanessa opened the door to a woman in a navy blazer who said, Ethan Harper. The whisper-thin envelope made a soft noise when it struck his palm. Vanessa received her own. What is this? Ethan asked. Civil summons, the woman said. Complaint filed. Financial exploitation of an elderly person. Conversion. Unjust enrichment and declaratory judgment on unauthorized draws. There are moments in family life when the air changes temperature. This one dropped 10 degrees in a breath. Aunt Bird made another sound. Happy birthday, I told Jake, crouching to his height. I kissed his hair. Keep the Lego in my house, okay? We'll build it together. Saturdays at 10. He nodded with the solemnity of children accepting terms they don't fully understand. He is the only person who didn't do anything wrong in that room. I took my binder and left. The balloon arch sighed as the door closed. Law is slow when you need it fast, and fast when you need it slow. My attorney, Ms. Freed, wore her hair in a bun, so tight it could slice bread. She liked nouns that bite, conversion, detrimental reliance, constructive trust. We're not putting you in hand-to-hand, she said. We're putting the facts in a line and handing the line to a judge. Ray came to the preliminary hearing in a crisp plaid shirt that probably spent a week in his cab on a hanger. He shook my hand like he'd known me longer than 2 months. The video played on a portable screen. The trooper's incident report looked handsome, all serif font and bullet points. The bank provided an affidavit about the change beneficiary details from a non-recognized device on premises matching the defendant's residential address. Ethan's lawyer tried to make me confused. He failed politely. Ms. Freed let him finish questions he thought were clever, then turned him like a coat on a hook. Is it fair to say you have memory issues, Mr. Harper? He asked. It is fair to say I keep a ledger, I answered. Would you like to see it? He declined, which made the judge smile without moving her mouth. We got a temporary restraining order on the helic. The judge enjoined any further draws. She ordered a forensic accounting. We'll see what's recoverable, Ms. Freed said, like a mechanic squinting at a broken alternator. On August 28th, the court granted a preliminary order placing the Lakeview House proceeds into escrow pending adjudication. On September 9th, we negotiated a stipulation. $25,000 from the May 2nd wire returned within 30 days, with 6% interest. Helic draws halted. Monthly contact to be attorney-to-attorney only. Ethan texted me a single message from a new number anyway. How could you do this to us? It read. There was no question mark. I typed a reply and deleted it. Then I typed another and deleted that too. I went outside and watered Eleanor's hydrangeas. The ritual saved our marriage more than once. It can save a man from himself. The second public scene was not my idea. Fate's a ham. Vanessa threw a "we did it" party for the new deck. All paid, all approved. The invitation chirped, forgetting the judge who now lived between them and their money like an invisible roommate with keys to everything. Bev got an invite somehow. Lakeview is small. Bev knows everyone. Bev wanted to go because she likes to know what happens to stories. I went because older men have a bad habit of not witnessing their own lives. The deck held 30 people and one truth. Someone had strung Edison bulbs. The charcuterie board looked like a geology exhibit. Bluetooth speakers breathed out acoustic covers of songs written by men who used to be angry and now sell whiskey. At 8, a courier in a red jacket turned up the steps, checked a clipboard, and found Vanessa with her mouth set to grieve. "Ms. Harper?" he asked. The envelope in his hand matched the first, but heavier. "Order to show cause. Ms. Freed would text me later, smiling emoji, for sanctions. Your son used the helic last week despite the injunction. Judge is not amused." Vanessa whispered into Ethan's shoulder. Ethan swore softly with the voice of a boy in the school parking lot who realizes his father is already there. The bulbs buzzed. Someone's laugh ran out of gas halfway. Ray had told me once in the truck cab, some people can't see a lane marking if it's not neon. I watched my son, and for the first time since the shoulder, I saw him as a man who had trained himself not to see the lanes. I slipped out before the cake. The moon sat on the edge of the neighbor's roof like a silver dime. The end was not a spectacle. Justice prefers good shoes and low voices. By October, the bank had unfurled its grave bureaucracy. The $25,000 came back with interest. "We are unable to recover the second wire due to beneficiary account disposition," the letter said, which is how institutions apologize for physics. The helic closed like a drawbridge. My locks changed, on my house, on my accounts, on my habits. Bev stood watch the first night, because a woman with a book is a locked door. Ethan called twice for numbers I didn't recognize. I did not answer. Vanessa sent an email with the subject line "Olive Branch" and attached a picture of Jake dressed as a pirate. I printed the photo and put on my fridge because a child is not a branch. He is a boy who likes Lego dinosaurs and will someday understand that adults are stories they tell themselves until someone makes them stop. In November, I met Ray at a diner off Route 1. He ordered a cheeseburger and decaf. I ordered meatloaf that tasted like 1978. I slid a small envelope across the table. "For Nora's braces," I said. It held $3,000 in crisp bills. I do not enjoy keeping at home. He tried to refuse. "You save me more than you know," I said. "Let an old man buy something other than checks." I changed my will. Ms. Freed sighed the way lawyers sigh when they think clients get cosmic too soon. "Half to a scholarship fund for children of long-haul drivers," I said. "Half to set up a grant at the trade school for HVAC apprentices who think blue collar means blue future." I scratched through Ethan's name with a fountain pen that used to sign good things. Of all the money, $62,000 down payment, $33,600 in monthly help, $52,940 in last-minute wires and experiences, $32,620 in helic draws that never touched a roof. I got back a piece. More than I feared, less than I gave. Enough to live without calculating angles at the grocery store. Enough to look at the exit sign at mile 214 and not flinch. You want a final confrontation. You want shouting on a lawn, a stage with consequences. You want the line you can say to a man who chose himself in every small way until the choice was large and hubcap loud on the shoulder of a highway. The truth is I did shout once. In my kitchen, alone, at the ledger in the bottom drawer. You don't get to be a good person only in your own head, I told the numbers. You don't get to be a son just because you were born. Then I closed the drawer and made coffee with beans that smell like mornings Eleanor loved. I sat at the table and wrote a postcard to Jake. It said, "Saturday at 10. We'll build the T-Rex. Bring your patience. I'll bring the snacks." 2 weeks later, Ethan waited for me on my front step. He looked smaller. Shame does that, either by subtraction or by trick of light. "Dad," he started, "we're drowning." "You build a house below sea level," I said. "We can fix it," he said. "If you just—" I raised a hand. His mouth shut. It was a rare thing. "I want you to hear me," I said. "I'm not your plan. I'm not your bank. I am not a man you can place on a shoulder of a road and collect later if convenient. I am a person. I am a father whose wife laughed with him in a kitchen you will never own. I am the man who taught you to merge and to leave room for the driver who hesitates. I left you room for 40 years. You used it to park. He stared at my shoes. I don't think you will remember what I said. I think you will remember the cadence. Behind him, my mailbox held a thin white envelope from the court. Dates. Next steps. The choreography continues. I want to see Jake, he said at last. Saturday at 10. I answered, bring him. You can stay if you want to listen to him explain the difference between a rib and a tailplate. He nodded. He did not apologize. Men who train themselves not to see lanes need time to admit signs exist. Ray texted me a photo the next week. Nora, grinning with brackets. Thumbs up. The truck lurking behind her like a friendly whale. He added, we're headed south. Keep the shiny side up. I texted back, 10 to 4, because I'm a man who learns codes late. On a bright blue morning in December, I took the long way to the hardware store. The highway ran beside me at a distance, a silver vein. I slowed near exit 214, not to hurt myself, but to wave at the part of the road that taught me something my own family forgot. I'm not an exit. I'm not an exit. I'm not an exit. Signed my monthly donation to the food bank that fed my father in 1959 and wore my Red Browns cap at the bank to say hello to Sharon. She waved me over like an old friend. On my way out, I held the door for a young man who smelled like cologne and ambition. He nodded without seeing me. That's fine. I've got no reason to be seen anymore. Everything that needs saying has been said, written down, notarized, and filed. Evan texted at noon, doing the hours. Max asked about you. He wants to bowl again. I typed slow, thought long, and sent. When you're done paying back the last dollar, we'll roll frame. I'll show him how to pick up a 10-pin. I put the phone down, face down on its placemat, and smiled. No updates needed. I don't know if Evan will learn the right lesson. I do know that he learned this much. If you take an old man's phone with the promise to install updates, you'd better be prepared for the update you can't undo me. And that, son, is the kind of fix you can't push to Monday.